Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Baby podcast, brought to you by Mama Magic, your trusted guide from pregnancy to parenting and beyond. Now, today's episode dives into the incredible journey of child development. Not just the milestones, but the emotions, the behaviors, and growth that shape who our children become. Joining me today is our clinical psychologist, Lungile Mangena, who spent years helping parents understand what their child's behavior is really saying and how emotional intelligence forms the foundation for healthy development. Just a reminder that this conversation is for general awareness and not medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider for individual support. Lungile, a warm welcome to you again. Wonderful having you back with us on Lights, Camera, Baby.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, let's talk about this. Most parents keep a mental checklist, right? Like when their baby should be crawling, when they should be talking and walking, and when they should be sleeping through the night. There's so much to keep up with, right?
Yes.
But development is about so much more than that, right? How would you describe true childhood development now beyond milestones like walking and talking and sleeping through the night?
Sure. There's so much. There's social development where now the child begins to learn social skills, how to interact with people, how to take turns when you are doing something or playing, that it's not always going to be me, because remember, children are egocentric, so that means it's all about me. I'm right and you are wrong. So if I say this chair is purple, it is purple. So you're not going to tell me that it's not purple. And they strongly believe that, but it's all developmental. So now we have to help them transition from that, where they learn how to interact with other people. There's also cognitive development as well, where we need to stimulate them. We need to stimulate them in terms of how to develop their way, their thinking capacity, their ability to reason things. So now we expose them to the world. Because children learn through playing, actually. Not that you're going to say, what is 1 + 1 when it's a small child?
Yes.
Expose them to one bird and another bird. Can you see? You put them together. We have 2 birds, something that they can interact with and play with and see, and you also be a bird sometimes.
And the whole cause and effect thing, right?
Yes, you exactly. You play because children develop so much, so many skills. How to regulate themselves, how to, when they're upset, how to calm down by watching you as a parent, how you handle your emotions.
That's a lot of pressure.
How you handle your emotions is how they will handle their emotions. How you interact and speak to them is how they will speak to others as well. So a lot of the pressure, I agree with you, is on the parent, because remember, these are little brains which are still developing. And I don't know why, but the brain is the last organ in the body that takes many, many years to develop fully. It's the last one and the most important one. But now we need to help these little people develop this brain, develop how to regulate themselves, because all the different parts of the brains are all functioning for different things as well. But now those social skills, those cognitive skills, those milestones that you spoke about as well, encouraging them, praising them, emotional development, affirming them, seeing them, not just seeing them when they accomplish something, but seeing them for just existing, for just being your child. So there's so much into development besides milestones that requires us parents to actually engage with our little ones. Play, actually.
That's multidimensional. That truly is. And we take that for granted. I mean, it's comforting to hear that, because every child is so different.
Yes.
Right? And they develop differently. And very often parents put a lot of pressure on themselves and their children, because they compare themselves to other children and other families and other progress, and especially now with the age of social media, right? We constantly comparing. What advice would you give to both these parents?
Stop comparing yourself. I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I know, because there's so much pressure that our parents are experiencing. And I always say, this is your baby. Your child is different from someone else's child. Even if you have 3 kids in the house,
Yeah.
each child will experience you differently.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one, maybe you were unemployed when you had the first baby. Maybe the second baby, you were employed. You just started working. And maybe the third one, which is your current one, now you are in a nice, comfortable position at work. So the way you're going to show up for all these 3 is different.
Yeah.
So now the way I show up and the way person B shows up when with their baby is completely different. And my focus is on how I need to show up for my person or my people. And they need to worry about how they need to show up with their babies and their little people. And I know society always says, but you are spoiling your child. You are, you are not, I don't know, whipping your child or things like that.
Yeah.
And I always say every family has their own culture. Every family has their own values, their own belief systems, and do what works for you.
Absolutely. Now, we talked about this earlier, and we introduced you as a clinical psychologist,
Yes.
right? But you, more than that, you are a mother yourself, right?
Yes,
You have a
yes.
5 and an
Yes,
8-year-old, and you've
yes.
had to manage this.
Yes.
So you speak from 2 perspectives here,
Yeah.
as a mother
Yes,
directly,
yes,
and
definitely.
as a psychologist.
Definitely.
And how has that influenced your parenting journey with your little people?
So there are pros and cons. So the pros is the part where I'm aware of certain behaviors, I'm aware of my role, I'm aware of their role. So that helps. And then there is another part where you wish maybe you didn't know so much. Because now when the little one comes and shows you a picture that they drew, then you're able to interpret that picture. I mean, my 5-year-old once came and showed me a picture and she drew me as this big person. So everyone else was okay, but mom was like this big person. I'm like, oh.
You're interpreting.
So now I'm interpreting. I'm like, what does this mean? So, and then now she says, but mommy, you are so warm, you are so big and so strong. And so I'm like, whew, okay. But I can interpret that as, oh, is mom so scary, so punitive in how she's managing
That's
you?
true.
You see, so now that's the part where it's like, ish, I wish I didn't know.
Yes.
So, but then the other parts, it really helps me with connecting and how I need to show up for each of them.
Exactly. And I can only imagine why your patients benefit from that experience so much as well. Because, like you're saying, so much can be misinterpreted with that development that's going on in the brain, right?
Yes.
So much during that phase. Because, like you're saying, it's with the picture, how it can be misinterpreted in that way. But every child drawing you in that way has a different meaning to it.
Definitely. And you always have to also ask,
Yeah.
what does this mean? Because then you run with those assumptions, those interpretations. Even if now you're not a psychologist, we assume this is what our children are saying.
Yes.
When actually, if you ask, then you realize, oh, that's not what you are saying. This is what you are saying. So it's very true. Your mind can play games with you in terms of interpreting and assuming certain behaviors until you do a check-in with the child.
Now tell me, is there any time where there should be a point of concern as a mother, as a parent? Like we said, we watch for milestones, physical milestones, right? But in terms of the social and the cognitive milestones, are there any times, things that we should be aware of and, take our child for a checkup to the doctor, etc., if something doesn't happen at the right time?
Yeah. So normally now our developmental physical milestones there will indicate if maybe they are cognitive difficulties.
Ah.
So if the baby maybe didn't sit at 6 months, or maybe didn't walk at the appropriate ages, then we start worrying, because it also is reflective of what could be happening cognitively, because the
Okay.
brain is supposed to tell the child, now you can sit. The
I
brain is
see.
supposed to say, now let's start walking.
There's that link.
Yeah.
There's
so
always the link.
There's always that link. Like if I want a glass of water, my brain tells my hand, grab this water.
Of course.
So now it means there's a disconnect, or there's a delay.
Okay.
There. So now that's how we pick up. We look at the milestones, and then they will tell us where the child may be delaying cognitively or even socially in terms of speech as well. Then we pick up if there are delays in speech, maybe at the age of 1, at least minimum, the child must be able to say 1 word at least. But some babies can say more. But now if the baby can't, even the child can't say 1 word, then already that is also telling us something cognitively that is also happening, that there may be some delays, and then we need to start involving the relevant professionals who can be able to make further assessments.
Okay. And can assist and provide
Yes.
tools to help
Yes.
that family on their journey.
Yes.
Okay. Now, people often think that emotional intelligence is something kids learn a lot later in life, right?
Yeah.
But you apparently it starts right from birth. So how early do children pick up on our tones and facial expressions and our energy?
Yeah. Before children or babies become verbal, there's a pre-verbal stage where they are not verbal yet, they don't have the language yet, but they can pick up your energy. If you are sad, if you are angry, if you are anxious, they start feeling anxious. They start becoming angry. They start becoming sad. For example, if a mom is depressed, there are high chances that the baby will also be depressed. If the mom is extremely anxious, high chances that the baby will also become anxious. So before they can tell you what the feeling is, they will first pick up your energy. And now
Right.
they know, oh, this behavior means this word. You see, then they can begin to tell you once speech starts coming, that, oh, this is what anger looks like. Because if you notice, sometimes if you give your baby an eye, like if you are angry and you give them a certain look, they know exactly what that look means.
And that lives with them for life.
That lives with them for life. But they learned that from the pre-verbal stage, before they could be verbal. And then later on, language then begins to develop, and they can now articulate the actual feeling.
Well, so just when you think they're too young to understand, I mean, they're already watching how we respond to everything.
Yes.
So we lead by example.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, we often hear this said, but it really is very, very true.
Yes.
So how can parents intentionally build this emotional intelligence for their children, and even on hard days, because sometimes some days are hard, but like you're saying, everything we do, every response, everything we say, whether it's verbal or non-verbal, our babies and our toddlers and our preschoolers are picking up on this. So how do we start building that emotional intelligence? Because it's so hard as a parent. You have to watch yourself every
Yes,
time.
yes, yeah. So in the work that I normally do, I always say, before I can help your child, sometimes I need to help the parent. So meaning, sometimes as parents, we are so dysregulated. So we don't know how to calm ourselves down. Because when we were kids ourselves, no one helped us to calm down. So we were left to figure that out by ourselves. And okay, so calming down means I need to shout, I need to scream, I need to tell the person where to get off, then
Yeah.
I feel calm. But that's an ineffective way.
Yep.
But now that's something you find that the parent learned from their own childhood. And then now when their babies or their children start, misbehaving, which is what children do. It's normal. Now, when they start doing what is normal, which is misbehaving, then the parent will respond in a very ineffective way. Now, they will start shouting, screaming, maybe even cursing, calling the baby names, attacking the child's character, and not really dealing with the misbehavior that they don't want.
Right.
Because you can separate the two. You can deal with the misbehavior without attacking the child's character. You see, so now we have to teach parents, first of all, let's be regulated, because whatever decision that you make to discipline your child or to deal with the misbehavior is determined by how regulated are you as a parent. If you are calm, then you'll be calm. You'll be able to address the thing that you're not happy with, and we leave it there. If I'm not calm, then I can't. I'm going to be attacking the child, and then the child will do what I'm doing to other people. So when the child is fighting with their friends, the child will start attacking and cursing and calling other people's names, because that's what happens at home.
So let's go back to this term that you've used now, misbehavior, right?
Yeah.
We often, child behaving badly, it's not good. It's misbehavior. They're misbehaving. But how often is misbehavior actually exploring, testing boundaries, trying to understand that whole cause and effect, which we've termed misbehavior. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. I mean, I always say children are the most misunderstood little people. They're very curious. They are very explorative. They are always on a mission of learning how the world works. What is a spider? How many legs does a spider have? They are always curious and open to learning that they will make mistakes. And sometimes they will act in ways that are interpreted as, this child is misbehaving. But now I always say, let's look beyond the behavior. Let's try and think of a feeling word.
Yeah.
What is this child trying to say to me? For example, my child just kicked me, which is not acceptable. But now my child kicked me. What is my child feeling?
What is she trying to say?
What is she trying to say to me? Maybe I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling sad or hurt. Maybe I did something also that made my child feel upset. So now misbehavior is easier to throw, because then I don't have to work so hard in terms of trying to understand what is the feeling underlying the behavior. You see, then I just shout, I scream, and I react. But now if I have to do the harder work, it means I need to pause, try to think of a feeling word, and then try to say that feeling word back to the child to make the child feel heard. And then that means now I need to change how I show up and respond to this behavior. So in summary of that, children are just curious, but they get misunderstood because they are just trying to explore.
So are you saying that when your child has an outburst of some sort, it's important to address it in a calm way, so they don't know what sad means? So you're giving it a naming. You're naming the feeling.
Yes.
Right? That's what you're saying. And you validating it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To find out why it's okay.
Yes.
So you're showing empathy.
Yes.
And you're teaching through that process.
Yes.
So
definitely.
what would those steps be then? I mean, I've just muddled them all together. But what would those steps be for parents to go through when your child does something that you think is misbehaving or naughty? What would be the right process, the steps to follow to address that?
Yeah. So I would also say, let's also be curious as parents. Try to find out why. What would make my child want to kick me?
Yeah.
What is going on with my child, and not assume that my child is kicking me because they're just rude, for example. So just as much as children are curious, we as parents, we also need to not disconnect from that curiosity and be curious and be inquisitive and want to understand our children, understand the why part. So now if they are behaving in ways that, are not so nice or not acceptable, then I need to really be concerned about why. What could be happening internally inside my child that my child can't tell me about? Because remember, cognitively, it's still limited.
Of
They're
course.
still developing.
Yes.
Even words, language is still developing. So now remember, my role is to help my child develop language and develop the brain, in terms of
Yes.
how to regulate, how to make decisions. So I need to help my child do that. So by me being curious, I'm showing my child that we don't kick people,
Yes.
we talk. This is the feeling. It's called anger. And when the feeling is anger and I say it to my child, then I also need to accept it and not punish my child for feeling angry. I accept it. It's okay. We will be angry at times. Sometimes you'll be angry at mommy too. It's okay. I accept it. I sit with it. I comfort my baby. I'm regulating my baby when I do that. And they'll do the same with their friends who are angry at school.
That
as
is
well.
true. That is true. That makes so much of sense. I mean, it is, it goes down because we're so ready to go into discipline mode,
Yeah.
right? And we want to set boundaries. And how do we guide this behavior while still staying connected to our
Yeah,
children? How do
yeah.
we prevent ourselves from going just pure discipline, go and sit in the corner? Some children get a hiding still. And it's so easy to confuse like being firm and being harsh, right? But how can we set these boundaries, stay connected, and allow our children to still feel safe and not scared?
Yeah. I always say boundaries. Every parent needs to set boundaries, or else the children will be chaotic. So we need to set boundaries, but in love. We don't have to be harsh. We don't have to be punitive and exercise our control in authority in setting the boundaries. We can still set the boundaries in ways that bring that connection using love languages. That, for example, when you kick mommy, that behavior is not okay. We can't go kicking people when we are feeling angry. Because if we kick people when we are feeling angry, sometimes we can also get hurt. Somebody may kick us back, and then you set that limit that behavior is not okay, but the feeling of anger is okay. The feeling of anger I will accept and I will comfort you, but the kicking is not okay. But you see, I didn't shout, I didn't scream.
Right.
My blood pressure didn't go up, for example.
Yes.
But I'm still setting a boundary using love and love languages, and still it makes me feel connected to my child. And my child feels, okay, you're not attacking me. You're just really dealing with this unwanted behavior. That's just an example.
No, absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
great example because it's such a healthy reframe because discipline is love
Yes.
instead of control,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And love makes you feel safe. You can acknowledge that that isn't the correct behavior, but without creating fear.
Yes.
How do we, what would be, give us examples of how do we validate good behavior and bad behavior?
So when we validate good behavior, for example, maybe let me say, I'm going to pick another example. A child who is attention seeking, and you just came from work, you are tired, you had a long day and you just want to rest, and here's your child jumping on you, is grabbing your laptop, your phone, and putting it down, and like, mommy, you are back, let's play.
The energy.
So now you want to validate the excitement, that this child is so excited to see you. You want to validate the love. They've been longing and waiting and looking forward to having fun with you.
Yeah.
You know, and you say those things to the child, and then you say, okay, you know what, because mommy just walked in, let mommy just, refreshen and pull herself towards herself so mommy can fully engage
Yeah.
and play with you. But I didn't just dismiss my child.
Yes.
You see, I acknowledged the child's feelings, the excitement. I'm also excited as well, that the longingness for me to come home, to play and connect. Because remember, play is their language. That's how they grow. That's how they learn and experience the world. They just want to connect with you so that they can also learn about themselves as well. So if I acknowledged all of that, and then I say, okay, let mommy just refreshen a little bit so she can come and sit and play with you. Can we do that? And then that's just an example of showing, affirming and validating the positive feelings. Now, when we are affirming the misbehavior, validating the misbehavior, we're still seeing the feeling underlying the misbehavior. You see, so now if your child is saying, I hate you, mom, you are the worst mom in the world, for example, because kids can say that, So when your child says that to you, don't focus on the actual words. Let's think of a feeling word and validate that feeling. That it sounds like you are hurt. It sounds like you are feeling sad. It sounds like you are really unhappy right now. And that's what I'm going to validate. Not the behavior. That I'm not going to say it's okay for you to say these words. I'm not going to focus on that. But I'm going to focus on the feeling underlying that misbehavior.
That's a lovely way to build that trust as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that connection. And
Yes.
even after the conflict and the drama and the overexcitement or the tears. But again, I love the way you've showed us how to stay calm. And how by you staying calm, you build that calm energy through the child as well, right?
Yes.
And again, you've taken that energy from there to there, and then you're ready to work together, to build it up again, to play.
Yes, definitely.
That is wonderful. So I suppose it's not about being perfect, right? I mean, there is no perfect formula, but the basic principles apply, and it builds trust and connection, which brings us to that inner work, right, of parenting, because your child's patterns often come into play, right? And we see that, and many parents say their child's triggers, their child triggers part of them, and they don't realize that they needed healing,
Yeah.
right? So why does parenthood bring up so much of from our own childhood?
Okay. So now, why parenthood brings up so much of our own childhood pains is because those scars are unhealed. We still walk around and we still carry them, and they enter the playroom, they enter the nursery room, they enter my ability to interact with my child at the moment. So the way anger, sadness was handled when I was a child, it will enter the playroom and enter how I handle when my child is feeling sad. I handle my child when my child is feeling angry. So now I will say I'm getting triggered. You see, I'm getting triggered because now I'm sitting, I call it the shock music. So it's that anxiety that will kick in that I'll be experiencing because it's taking me to that anxiety that I felt when I was a child,
Right.
when I got angry and I would be attacked. You see, I will be called names. It will never be accepted. That feeling was not accepted. Now, I would sit with so much anxiety as a child, and then now my child now, when I'm a mom, and my child is angry, it triggers how I experienced anger. And then this anxiety that is so intense kicks in. And I just want to shut that anxiety down.
Yeah.
So then what do I start doing? Saying exactly what was said to me, to my child. Or I'm going to ignore my child completely. so that I can focus on feeling better and not feeling so anxious and not feeling these intense feelings. I'm not now focusing on my child. It's no longer about my child feeling sad. Now it's about me trying to control my own anxiety about my child being sad.
So how do we put an end to that as parents without carrying our own baggage into the playroom, our own childhoods and, our inherited patterns?
Again, that will lead us to awareness.
Yeah.
It will lead us, we have to catch ourselves when those unwanted thoughts enter the room. When I stop seeing my child and I start seeing myself, now that's when I need to pause. Where it's no longer about my child being angry, but it's about me being anxious about my child being angry.
Yeah.
Then I need to pause. So it's becoming aware when I can't accept my child's feelings.
Yeah.
I can't sit with my child's anger because it's too overwhelming for me. So it's really paying so much attention and being aware and maybe listening, to podcasts, listening to other people talking about...
And seeking help as well, I suppose.
Yes, seeking help. There are so many services, psychological services for moms. I mean, we offer also the parenting groups, attending parenting groups, and really being in touch with other moms who are experiencing what you're experiencing, so you realize you're not isolated as well.
So we talked specifically about moms here, but dads can also bring a different dimension.
Definitely.
Right? Because mom carries this journey very personally. But how do we get dads to also acknowledge their childhood and reframing their parenting and without bringing that baggage into the room?
It's sure. It's just as hard for dads as it is with moms. If you as a dad also, when you were angry and it was unacceptable, you were not allowed to be angry. I mean, a lot of men are told you can't cry, you can't feel pain. Now, when pain was never accepted, it becomes difficult now to comfort your child when you were not comforted. You don't know what that looks like, you see. So now I may say when I become a dad, I'm not going to do it. But sometimes when I don't know, I will struggle to do that. And it will unfortunately spill in and enter the playroom. Because now when my child is being emotional, is crying, I'm not going to entertain it. I call them, mom, come deal with this, which happens a lot.
Yeah.
Then mom must come and sort this out, and then I'm not going to engage with this because I don't know how to deal with this. It's uncomfortable. It's anxiety provoking. So even with dads, it also requires dads to be aware.
Yeah.
That...
And work together as parents, right?
Yeah, definitely.
As well.
Yeah.
So in the end, I suppose it comes down to parenting isn't about being in control all the time, right? It's more about that connection, the compassion and growth on both sides. Because as much as your child is growing physically, socially, cognitively, you're growing as a parent.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Your skills are growing and you learning as we go. It's a learn on the go job.
Yes, definitely, yes. Everyone is learning.
Yeah.
Everyone is discovering who they are. Even me as a parent, I'm discovering who I am to this child that is in front of me. It's all about just opening yourself up to that experience.
Absolutely.
Of letting your child teach you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been so much that we've learned from you today that many parents take for granted, especially understanding that how sensitive our children are emotionally from the time that they're born. I love the fact that reflecting on how they can pick up on our emotions and how that leads into the next stages and phases of their growth, right?
Yes.
Leading by example. But it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect because your perfect and my perfect are two different things,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
And one last question that I have for you. I mean, a lot of times we talk about learning by example because so it puts a lot of pressure on us as parents to try and live up to this role. Like we spoke about being the perfect mothers and the perfect fathers and the perfect families, and we compare ourselves. But how much of a child's development in the brain comes down to learning from what they see in their environment and their actual personalities that they're born with?
There is personality structures that they are born with, and a lot of the learning, a lot of the child's development is influenced by the environment. A lot, I cannot emphasize, like 90%, 99%, it's influenced by the environment. How this personality will show up, how this personality that they, or traits that they are born with, the way they will show up is influenced by the environment. So if the environment is not safe, if the environment is not attuned, is not like interested in this child, you can imagine then this child won't thrive. The development of the child will be arrested somewhere, and then it stops there. For example, they don't learn certain skills that they needed to learn if the environment was safe.
Okay.
They don't learn certain cognitive skills. They don't learn certain social skills. They don't learn certain emotional skills because of the environment, even though the personality traits are there. But the way they will show up in this world is largely determined by how I'm relating with my child.
And that we can have a lot of control over, right?
Yes,
And each
yes.
environment will be different. But Lungile, thank you so much. I mean, we really appreciate your wisdom and the clarity that you've provided us today, and your warmth, of course. As a
Thank
mother,
you.
that shines out brightly,
Thank you.
knowing that you've been through this
Yeah, still going through it.
and you're still going through it. I mean,
Yes.
you remind us that parenting it's not about perfection, but it's about presence, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to chatting to you again.
Exciting.
Well, to every parent that's listening, it's time for you to take a breath. You're doing better than you think. As Lungile just shared with you, there's so much for us to learn and keep learning as we keep parenting our children into adulthood. And remember again that this podcast is not medical advice, so please consult your healthcare provider for personal support. And if you enjoyed this episode, of course, please go ahead and share it with another parent. And subscribe to Lights Camera Baby for more real conversations that guide you through pregnancy, parenting, and beyond. I'm Projeni Pather. I look forward to seeing you again next time.